Okay, so right off the bat, I want to say that my body is screaming at me right now. I didn't mention this in the last post, but Carl has been putting Nick and me through some really intense combat training. I won't deny that it has benefited us. I mean, up until about 8 months ago, I could never do an action role, nor did I ever look as fit as I do now. Lately, he's been trying to teach us how to do a backflip and front flip, along with some parkour techniques. So far, most of our attempts haven't been successful. I've fallen face down more times than I can count now. I think we're at least starting to get the hang of it, so there's that. Since I've gotten that off my chest, I'll pick up where I left off yesterday. I couldn't stop thinking about what happened over the next week. I tried doing things to distract myself, only to find my mind wandering back to the subject. Nick's voice had returned to normal by then, and his bruises were gone. Nothing really eventful happened for a little while after that. Then shit hit the fan again. "Hey, Carl," I said. He replied in the passenger seat. Nick was the one driving at the time. It was well into the night. He and Carl rotated driving duties. I would have helped with that if it wasn't for my leg. All I could really do was to be on the lookout for any suspicious cars following us. On more than one occasion, we had to lose some pursuers. One of those times, Carl shot out one of their tires, sending them off the road into a ditch. I know you really can't talk about where we're headed, but do you at least know how long it will take us to get there? I asked. We've been on the road for over 2 weeks now. I can't really answer that, Pete. If it weren't for all the detours that we have to take, we would have reached it by now. Detour meant taking alternative routes when we noticed any signs of agents in the area. We also had to determine which ones to pick that they most likely wouldn't. The idea was to be as unpredictable as possible when it came to traveling. If we weren't, they'd be able to figure out where we'd be and have people waiting for us. I don't play chess, but our situation was similar to it in that it required thinking several steps ahead. Maybe we should see if we can disguise ourselves, Nick suggested. I did know somebody who specialized in special effects makeup, who taught me some things, but it could take hours or even days to apply that stuff in a way that it would completely change our faces. Do you think it'd be worth it? I asked. Carl wrinkled his brow in thought. Maybe later. It'd take too long with the way that we're going. He was about to close his eyes when he suddenly widened. What is it? Nick said, glancing at him. Do either of you smell that? Smell what? It smells like breakfast. Bacon, eggs, toast. I think I'm even picking up on syrup. Actually, now that you mention it, yeah. What about you, Pete? I can, but where's it coming from? I don't see any restaurants. Almost as if in response to what I said, we saw a truck stop diner come into view. We looked at each other. I could use a bite to eat, Carl said. What about you guys? I'm down. Although, isn't it kind of weird that a truck stop diner is all the way out here? Nick asked. We've seen stranger things. Besides, it's not that uncommon for places like this to be out here. Sometimes it's the only thing that saves truckers from nodding off at the wheel and crashing. I don't fully remember the name of the place. I think it was someone's name and then the words truck stop diner. I do remember it looking pretty run down. Half the letters that made up its neon sign were out as we pulled into the parking lot. The headlights of Carl's car illuminated a bunch of discarded hubcaps near the restaurant's entrance. Are you guys sure you want to stop here? Nick asked. We've seen worse places, I said with a shrug. Besides, that smell has gotten even stronger. There were only about 4, maybe 5 trucks parked at the stop. We expected the inside to be about as maintained as the outside. Instead, it ended up looking as if the restaurant just opened recently. Based on the decor, the diner had either been built during the 50s or was made to appear that way. This is as stark a contrast if I've ever seen one, Carl said. The tables were empty. The bar stools, however, were all occupied. A trucker sat at each one. Some only drank, while others chatted amongst themselves. It was hard to make out their conversations due to how gruff their voices were. An older red-haired woman in thick glasses was serving them drinks. She noticed us, then told the trucker she'd be right back. She took out a small notepad from the pocket of her uniform and a pencil that she was keeping behind her ear. She smiled at us with teeth that seemed almost too white. She greeted us with the voice that captured the essence of Southern hospitality. "Good evening, y'all. What can I get you?" We gave her our orders. Carl ordered some bacon and eggs. Nick ordered some ham and hash browns. Having a bit of sweet tooth at the time, I ordered some French toast, which was to be served with maple syrup and strawberries. Along with all that, we each ordered some coffee. "All right, now it may take a little while to whip this all up. I hope that won't be an issue." "Not at all," Carl told her. "Fantastic. We'll have it out as soon as it's ready. Oh, and by the way, we have some delicious cakes and pies if you're feeling like dessert afterwards." She went into the back to give the cooks our orders. "You know," Nick said, "I was feeling kind of iffy about this place, but it seems pretty good." "Yep, it's good to just be able to relax like this. All this traveling gets tiring," I said. "So, Carl, how long do you think we should stay here?" "I'd say about an hour or so would be good." "All right, I'm getting kind of restless, so I'm going to go out for some fresh air. Let me know when our food's out." I grabbed my crutches and proceeded to get up from the booth. As I did, a trucker was getting up as well. Something happened as he passed by that caused me to be slightly on edge. "What the hell?" I said in a low voice. "Is something wrong, Pete?" "I thought I saw... never mind. It's late. My mind's probably just playing tricks on me." Using my crutches, I hopped outside. Usually, I'm not a fan of hot weather. However, at that time, I found it to be relaxing. It had been so long since I just stopped and truly took time to see the scenery. I glanced up at the sky filled with stars, and my heart nearly stopped at what I saw. I thought I saw something among the stars. It only lasted for a split second. When I blinked, the sky looked normal. Thinking my tiredness was causing me to lose it, I decided to get a little exercise and try to wake myself up more. I intended to simply hop around the diner 3 or 4 times. While going around it, I happened to see the trucker who walked past me. There were also several other truckers that he was talking to. Due to being too far away, I couldn't make out their conversation. However, I gathered he wanted to show them what was in his trailer. Curious as to what was inside, I watched as he opened it. This revealed only darkness inside. At first, I, as well as the other truckers, were under the impression that it was empty. That quickly changed when a giant hand came out of it. Now, when I say giant, I mean it didn't seem possible that whatever the arm was attached to could fit in that trailer. The arm alone was so thick that it almost seemed to take up the entirety of the inside. Dark fur covered it, and each of its fingers ended in long claws. "Oh fuck, not more of this shit," I thought, beginning to slowly back away to go back inside to get Carl and Nick. With the exception of the trucker who opened the trailer, the others screamed but were quickly silenced. The hand shoved two of its claws through their heads, silencing them, then lifted them into the truck. I wanted to yell too, but managed to keep it inside. The last thing I wanted to do was to attract its attention. Unfortunately, my efforts were futile. The trucker went to close the trailer when the hand made a gesture, letting him know not to. Then it pointed its index finger in my direction. That was some harsh shit. The arm stretched out of the trailer towards me. Keep in mind, I was over 30 feet from the trailer. If I had to guess, I'd say it could sense me somehow. Of course, I wasn't wondering about that at the time. I was trying to figure out how to get the hell away from it. I could only hop so fast after all. I ended up tripping. In every horror movie I've seen, tripping is usually a death sentence for a character. In my case, it actually saved my life. By tripping, I caused its claws to miss me. If I hadn't, it would have impaled me. "Guys!" I yelled as the arm was turning around, trying to stab me again. It was about to, and I then heard the sound of screeching tires, and then a loud bang of a shotgun. Bits of its dark blood and flesh flew away from the hand, causing it to recoil. As it was, the trucker's expression, which was calm before, stretched into an almost unnaturally wide grin. "What the fuck was that?" I screamed at him. He didn't answer. He just went to the driver's door of his truck and went right through it. My mouth fell open when I saw this. So that wasn't a hallucination in the diner after all, I thought. While he was walking past me in the diner, he went through the end of my crutches. I originally dismissed this as a product of my tired mind. Seeing him go through his driver's door made me know that that wasn't the case. It was when he was driving off did I become aware of Carl and Nick standing behind me. The former held his shotgun, now aimed at the ground, and both wore pale expressions. "Did you guys see what that trucker did too?" They replied that they did, and I asked them what they saw in the diner. "Well, we'll tell you about it when we're back on the road," Nick said as he and Carl helped me up. Okay guys, I'm gonna have to leave things off here. However, I will share something in the Starry Night Sky that each of us witnessed. Nick pointed it out as we were getting into Carl's car. We wondered what he was seeing. Then we noticed that the stars were moving. They did so until they had taken the shape of a face with a wide grin. The best way I can describe it is if the smiling trucker somehow became possessed by the Cheshire Cat, yet somehow even more disturbing. We knew that it was staring down at us, which made me feel insignificantly small, and I imagine Carl and Nick felt the same way. What disturbed us more is when it spoke. The words came out of its mouth, of which there were only 3. "You look tasty."